Call to order, City of Beaumont Planning Commission meeting. Nicole?
Would you mind calling the time, please?
Yes, 6 p.m.
Thank you. If you'd like, I'll start with the swearing in.
Yes, please.
All right. Here. All right. So beginning part, you're going to stick your name. Okay. Put your right hand up, please. I state your name.
I, Jose Barr,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
All right, here we are. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do we do a roll call first or the pledge?
I can do roll call. Commissioner Barr,
Present.
Commissioner Tinker,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Vice Chairman St. Martin,
Here.
Chairman Voss.
Here. Please join me in the pledge. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any adjustments?
I have none.
Any conflicts of interest?
Yes, items 5 and 6, I'll be recusing myself. The applicant is a client of my employer.
All right. Any one person may address the Planning Commission on any matter not on this agenda. If you wish to speak, please fill out a public comment form provided at the back table and give to the city clerk. There is a 3-minute time limit on the public comments. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. State law prohibits the commission from discussing or taking actions brought up by your comments. All right, item number 2, approval of the minutes.
So move to approve. I'll second.
Commissioner Barr,
Aye.
Commissioner Tinker,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Vice Chair St. Martin,
Yes.
Chairman Voss.
Yes. Item number 3, conditional use permit 2017-0014.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. The subject site is a 1,400 square foot market at 296 East 6th Street. The market currently has a Type 20 beer and wine license and is requesting a Type 21 general liquor sales. The conditional use form of approval allows the city to monitor the subject use and to initiate proceedings for revocation of the permit if conditions are violated or if the use otherwise becomes a public nuisance. With the conditional use permit, as you know, we requires a public hearing, and we give written notice to property owners within 300-foot radius of the site. Sufficient protection exists for the maintenance of the public health, safety, and welfare through the conditions of approval. In preparation of the legal notice, staff had contacted the applicant because of the 300-foot property owner notification package, which why it was continued until this date because we were missing the certification. Staff did receive a new certification with the list, and we remailed out the notice to ensure that all property owners within 300 feet were notified. This proposed application is exempt from CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act process, and does not require initial study. The Planning Commission may approve and/or modify a conditional use permit in whole or in part with or without conditions, provided that all the findings listed in the staff report of fact are made. And with that, staff recommends you hold a public hearing and approve conditional use permit CUP 2017-0014 based on the findings stipulated herein and subject to the attached conditions of approval. Thank you.
Any questions of staff?
No.
This has been a liquor store for quite some time, hasn't it?
That is correct.
I'll open the public hearing at 6:05. Any speakers?
I don't have any requests to speak. Okay. You'd have to come up to the microphone here and state your name.
Please state your name.
My name is Robin Porter. Good evening. I am a resident, and I have been a resident in this community for 14 years. And I'm definitely against having such an establishment. We have plenty of stores that have alcohol. I don't think we need another one. And that is my opinion, and I would like to end on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close the public hearing at,
There's one in the back.
is there one more? I'm sorry.
My name's Fernando Castro. I am a good friend of the owner who's occupying the liquor store, or the store being operated right now. He has put a lot of effort to put security, clean it up, clean the area, painting, doing a lot of hiring some people, and plans on doing some more remodeling and having security. He came upon purchasing this location due to the fact that some people were telling how other stores are not doing their job and they have security problems. And Mr. Mayhem, owning other operational stores, decided to purchase and doing all the upgrades. If he's permitted to and granted the upgrade on the liquor license, I'm sure that he will be able to provide security and well-being for the public. And one of his concerns is the public safety. So that being said, I'm for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? Close the public hearing at 6:07. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved for approval. Second?
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Tinker,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Vice Chair St. Martin,
Yes.
Chairman Voss.
Yes. Item number 4, ordinance amending 17.03-4, permitted uses for overlay zone districts.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. This is one of the discussion items we had at the last meeting that you requested council or staff to come back to Planning Commission. This regards 17.03.150, which includes table 17.03-4 for the permitted uses allowed in the overlay zone districts. The purpose of this, of the Beaumont overlay zone is to facilitate the corridor's transition to a mixed-use district containing professional offices, service, and limited commercial activities in conjunction with the residential uses. When this table was originally written, it is with the intent in mind for uses that would have less of an impact on existing and future residential uses. The current allowance is listed in the report, which prohibited dance halls and studios and health clubs and gymnasiums, as we previously discussed. At the direction of the Planning Commission, staff is proposing a code amendment to allow similar uses and define it further to be conditionally permitted in the Beaumont Avenue overlay zone. If approved, the proposed ordinance changes it from a dance hall and studio to a dance, martial arts, and fitness class, not an open gym, and change them to a conditional use permit as was directed. And then to change a health club and gymnasium to health club and fitness gym, and also allow them through the CUP process. This intent is to allow for smaller indoor-only, non-24-hour type gyms that, those could possibly have a negative effect on the existing and future residential. However, small, other type gyms, boxing gyms or other, open gyms that, might not have as much of an effect, that you guys would be able to review them on a case-by-case basis and a location-by-location basis, to allow them with the conditional use permit. We did list the updated proposed chart in the staff report and the proposed ordinance that would go to council. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and recommend to City Council approval of this ordinance amending Table 17.03-4, permitted land uses for overlay zone districts within Chapter 17, zoning of the Beaumont Municipal Code. Thank you.
So, in the top of the report, 1703-4, dance, martial arts, and fitness clubs is listed as P, permitted, but in the ordinance below, it's listed as C, as a conditional use permit. You see what I'm?
In Beaumont Avenue overlay, it was N, not permitted on the first page. The second page we're proposing to be a C.
in the ordinance text itself for the urban village overlay.
Yeah, if you look at the second 1703-4, so that would, I guess, be on page 2.
Oh,
It's a
I see
P.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. If you'd like to direct us to permit it in the overlay, I will update the ordinance as such. I believe it was permitted before, so that was just a typo by making it all a conditional use permit. So you can either propose to do an ordinance as presented with all conditional use permits, even in the urban village overlay, or we can propose to keep it as a permitted use as the current code allows.
What did we say last time?
We didn't discuss the other overlay zones. We only discussed the Beaumont Avenue overlay zone.
Okay.
The urban village overlay is basically in between the 60 and the railroad tracks, right?
Correct. And in our new general plan, there may be an additional urban village area, so.
Anybody else have questions of staff?
No, I think it pretty much falls in line with what we directed staff to do last time, so. I like the idea of the conditional use permit. That gives us a little more handle on things.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, did you have something? I'll open the public hearing at 6:12. Do we have any speakers?
I don't have any requests.
Close the public hearing at 6:12.
All right, I will move to approve the ordinance as presented.
I'll second.
Or move to recommend the ordinance as presented.
Commissioner Barr?
Yes.
Commissioner Tinker?
Yes,
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair St. Martin?
Yes.
Chairman Voss?
Yes. Item number 5, Sundance Specific Plan Amendment 3.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. The proposed series of entitlement actions further facilitate the development of the Sundance Specific Plan. The subject site is generally located west of Highland Springs Avenue, south of Brookside Avenue, and north of 8th Street. As part of this proposal, we have a specific plan amendment, an environmental impact report addendum, and 3 proposed tract maps. The original Deutsch specific plan approved in 1991 consists of 1,162 acres of mixed use, mostly residential with some commercial and institutional uses. The average density of the original Deutsch specific plan was 4.1 dwelling units for a total of 4,716 dwelling units. In 2004, the City Council approved the Sundance specific plan, which was the amendment number 1 to the Deutsch specific plan. This was a complete overhaul of the specific plan in the sense of changing even like the street pattern. So there's not really an easy way to compare from one to the other because the circulation element, the land uses kind of all changed, but still kept a certain amount of residential, institutional, and whatnot. In 2006, there were further amendments changing the land use to planning areas 20 and 44 to low-density residential, and planning areas 24 to high-density residential from commercial. This proposed amendment changes planning area 13 from institutional school site to high-density residential land use for proposing 90 dwelling units. PA 13 is proposed to decrease in size some, adjacent to the PA 14 open space basin will increase in size. And PA 53 would be created for a proposed water district well site. They're proposing changing planning area 47 from very low density to low density 6,000 residential land use, increasing the anticipated number of dwelling units in that area by 44 units, and adding planning area 54, which was the former Chavez school site, to the Sundance specific plan area with low density 7,000 residential. PA 54 is proposed with 31 single family residential units on 8 acres. We do include a land use comparison specific plan chart in there that includes the very original breakdown to this proposed breakdown, including all of the amendments that have taken place so far. The tract maps are the maps that overlay those 3 planning areas, including the 90 single-family dwelling units in planning area 13. The tract map area for those northernmost, the 31 on Chavez, and the northernmost parcels as well. An AIR addendum was prepared and is in front of you for this project, showing that the environmental consequences of this specific plan amendment, including the land use changes and the changes to the planning area, do not require a subsequent EIR under the standards of CEQA guidelines, because the general consequence of these land use changes would not increase the resulting impacts as compared to the land uses previously analyzed in the EIR and specific plan, as well as the addendums 1 and 2. Therefore, the change of land use falls within the scope of analysis of the previously approved Sundance Deutsch EIR. There are findings listed in the staff report. However, some of the concerns that we were working with Pardee were not able to get resolved prior to the publishing of this agenda. So we are recommending continuing this item to a special meeting on the 19th. We're working on, if you looked at the map, some of the concerns we had were the lots that face 8th Street. We're moving them to have, instead of its own little cul-de-sac hammerhead lot, to just have 3 lots that face 8th Street. And so they're working on updating the map and the specific plan to put it in its own planning area so that it has its own, so it matches more of a medium density setbacks and not a high density. So we're gonna break up the high density planning area into 2, 13A and 13B kind of thing. There were some other wording in the specific plan that as other staff has gone through and found some corrections that we'd like to see updated. And so we're gonna have that all updated into you. I wanted to still have this we advertised it, so we needed this meeting anyways to open the public hearing, but we also felt we wanted to get you all of the documents so you had also some extra time to review it between now and the meeting on the 19th, and it wasn't just over the weekend. So with that, we recommend you do open the public hearing. We would not recommend you close it. Open it and continue it to a special meeting of on April 19th. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have. On the 19th also, we'll have a full-on PowerPoint presentation to go through as well.
What is the reasoning on wanting to change where those cul-de-sacs were?
Staff had some concerns with the creating a different look along 8th Street, being more, making it, more continuity with the houses on 8th Street. So instead of putting a little bit higher density, 6 lots in a space that the existing lots would only fit more of 3 lots. And fire department had a little bit of concern. They didn't feel a wide enough hammerhead for the length that cul-de-sac went. And so they had some concerns that it didn't really work for fire. It was too big of in a sense, a risk for those houses that were at the end of the cul-de-sac because it was over 150 feet deep.
So we're not talking about making those streets through, right? They're still going to be.
They wouldn't be able to make that street go through because of the slope. So the houses they'll just be 3 houses fronting 8th Street. Okay. There won't be a street coming off of 8th Street. It'll just be 3 houses with driveways to 8th Street is what we're working on right now with them, remapping it.
Other questions of staff?
No.
No.
All right, with that, I will open the public hearing at 6:20. Do we have any speakers?
Yes. First speaker is Mary Daniel.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Mary Daniel, and it's irritating that we are again discussing changes to an already approved development plan for Part E homes. A developer who never seems to be satisfied even when they say they are. They are always trying to cram more and more housing units onto the available acreage. Since Part E is relying on an almost 30-year-old EIR that they say thoroughly analyzed any impacts, I decided to go back to that EIR. Very interesting reading. I decided that the thoroughly analyzed, I don't see how they could have. It was 128 pages, the whole thing without the appendices. Do you know how many pages we're talking about water? 4. And they only mentioned the Beaumont Basin once, and we know now it's an overdraft. So a 30-year-old EIR is criminal to put all of these houses behind. The already approved number of houses for this developer, which has been in effect since, as she said, 2006 or 7, it needs to be enforced, and there's absolutely no valid reason to increase densities except to satisfy developer greed. I don't think any of you were on the this board when this same developer indicated that they weren't making enough money and they needed more houses, and they practically demanded that the city increase the density and give them additional houses. They even used a veiled threat at that time that they might not be able to help the city get the community center built if they weren't allowed to build more houses. One of those planning areas that they wanted to make high density apartments is on the corner of 8th and Highland Springs. Luckily for the citizens of Beaumont, that planning commission refused to let Part E change that designation from commercial. Because as planning commissioner Joe Davis, I don't know if you know him, but he was an old-time Beaumont resident, stated, Beaumont needs more commercial development. They don't need more houses. Today, a large medical facility is being built on that parcel, which will certainly be a benefit to the citizens of Beaumont. This results from good planning. That's what this is. And all of this housing tract, incidentally, was made with the oversight, guidance, and advice of people who have now pleaded guilty to criminal acts. This makes this whole contract, as far as I'm concerned, fruit of the poisonous tree, as lawyers like to say. However, since we are legally, it seems, compelled to comply, there is nothing that says that they can be allowed to make changes. So let Part E add in those abandoned school sites, but give them the same density as the adjacent areas, and the density on all the other properties needs to stay the same. Specifically those on Brookside, because basically those were approved as very low density because they're in between Cherry Valley and Beaumont, and at that time Beaumont cared about Cherry Valley and wanted to keep the rural environment there. So I urge you to vote no on all of these. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Sharon Hamilton.
I'm Sharon Hamilton, 39880 Grand Avenue in Cherry Valley. Chairman Voss and Commissioners, I'm here to talk about the Sundance Specific Plan Amendment 3, specifically the area at Brookside and Cherry Avenue. As you know, this area butts up against Cherry Valley, which is zoned rural with 1 acre minimum parcels. It appears the original plan was to have a nice transition with larger lots through the adjoining development from urban housing to the rural area. The developer wants to add 40-some more homes in this area. It doesn't sound like a lot until you look at the other 2 38-acre parcels in the same development that haven't been developed yet, and the thousands of homes that are already there. Once we have the candy, seems we want more and more. There are many of us who enjoy the rural lifestyle and move to Cherry Valley for that reason. Our lifestyle has been altered in many ways already since the development has come to our area. Briefly, the traffic is insurmountable certain times of the day, as you know, on Highland Springs and Brookside. The traffic, yeah, and we can't get downtown to shop at all the new stores a lot of the time because of the gridlock. And in addition to that, much of the traffic is now coming up through Cherry Valley. We live on Grand Avenue. It's become a thoroughfare to the high school and to the on-ramp at I-10 on Cherry Valley Boulevard. Our water bills have gone up because we have to import more water. The hospital and schools want more and more bonds, which is driving up our property tax bills. And the sewer plant in Beaumont is getting close to capacity. To be successful, we need to be good neighbors. We need to understand the interconnected nature of our rural and urban communities and acknowledge that improved consideration has dividends for all of us. To be successful, for any of our communities to be successful, we have to work together across rural and urban lines. The city is abiding by the original 1990 contract, but as Mary said, nothing says you have to add more homes and create even more problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Stacy Sego.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm a resident of Sundance, and I have been for 14 years now. When I moved here, it was because it was a nice little sleepy town, and I was close to my dad, who lives in Sun Lakes. Well, it takes me, I have to allow 30 minutes to get to Sun Lakes now because of the traffic, and it's 2 miles from my home. I have to allow 10 to 15, sometimes 20 minutes to get to the freeway from my home, which is 1 mile. Now, I understand that the city wants to grow, cities do need to grow, we get that. But this city does seem to have been in bed with Pardee since all the homes started going up. And it doesn't seem to me that there was any consideration for the huge amount of growth. I mean, the population has doubled, over doubled since I moved here. The little sign on the freeway said 16,000 people, now we're close to 40. But the infrastructure never seemed to develop with the homes. There was a huge influx of population for people buying homes here, and we saw that. The roads didn't grow with it. Traffic is horrendous. The water, we've been having issues with the water, so I just want to make sure that consideration is taken into those of us that already live here and why we moved here and how we like to live. If Pardee wants to build all these homes and populate it, then give the water bill to Mr. Pardee. He can certainly afford it. I'm being taxed out of my home. And there's nothing so far in this city that visually shows me what my taxes are going for. Nothing supports the amount of taxes that I pay. But I watch more and more. You want more and more. Pardee wants more and more. But I'm getting nothing. So, you know, let's support the infrastructure for those of us that have to suffer through it now. And then maybe we can add on to more people. I don't know where you're going to put them, you know, unless you build a bridge over, you know, Highland Springs. The other day I was going to my dad's, and let's face it, you know, Sun Lakes does get a lot of ambulance calls. There was the whole freeway, or the whole street under the bridge was gridlocked, both directions. And here comes an ambulance. There was nowhere for us to go. He ended up scooting up onto the sidewalk. You know, so now it's a safety concern. I don't want to ever have my dad or anybody that I know be on the receiving end of an ambulance that can't even get down the street. So please think about those of us that have to live here before you add more people. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other speakers.
So do we just continue this on and I just start with number 6, or?
You do need to vote to continue the item. If there's any, I know, again, the agenda packets are posted on Friday. If you have any other, if you had a chance to review stuff and you have any other comments you'd like us to bring back for the 19th, now would also be the time, or you can just wait till the presentation on the 19th.
Okay.
But otherwise, we're recommending you guys motion to continue it.
Are there any questions? No?
No.
I'll make a motion to continue.
Second.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Tinker,
Yes.
Vice Chair St. Martin,
Yes.
Chairman Voss.
Yes. All right. Item number 6, plot plan PP 2017-0053.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. These two plot plans are the architectural elevations related to one of the areas that was discussed in the last item, planning area 13, as well as the architectural elevations for planning area 31, Altus, the active adult. Because these are based on needing to approve the specific plan amendment, we are recommending that this be continued along as well to the April 19th meeting.
Move to continue.
Well, hold on. We have to open the public hearing.
Yes, please open the public hearing. And
We'll open the
continue.
public hearing at 6:31. Do we have any speakers on this item?
I don't have any requests.
Okay. We'll close the public hearing at,
No.
no, I'm sorry.
Please leave it
Sorry, we'll
open.
continue it. Do we have to do a new motion, or can we continue with Mr. St. Martin's motion?
Wait, it's still on the table. We can continue with this.
Okay. And we had a second as well.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Tinker,
Yes.
Vice Chair St. Martin,
Yes.
Chairman Voss.
Yes. Any further comments from staff?
Yes, I'd like to introduce everyone. Well, let's get Commissioner Swithin here. I want to introduce everyone to Christina Taylor. She is our new hire as our senior planner, so you will see her start giving presentations, and if you have questions, feel free to talk to either of us if you call City Hall.
Fantastic. Welcome
So I
aboard.
just wanted to introduce her. That's all I have. Oh, and announce, obviously, these items were continued to April 19th, so we'll have a special meeting of the Planning Commission on Thursday, April 19th at 6 p.m.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll adjourn the meeting at 6:32.